I did find the rest of our questions.
Ah, very nice.
It was in my notes on my phone. So
Ah,
I was on the other computer and I was thinking about it. I'm like, I think I remember where it is. What are you up to?
nothing. Just eating a little breakfast and logged on to Facebook, but it's I don't know. I must have made this Facebook all I don't know when.
Well, you got
Because it
two. I
says
think you have two different Facebooks. Is what I realized this morning.
yeah, yeah. I'm looking and the name is Brian O'Connor. I don't know when I made this Facebook.
Interesting. Interesting.
I don't know. I must have been fucked up. Born on July 21st, 1970. I don't think I'm in my. I think I logged into somebody else. I don't know. Because I wasn't born in 71, that's for sure.
But maybe you were trying. Maybe you weren't 21 yet. You wanted to play it off.
No, because we were already 21 by the time they made that rule.
Maybe yeah.
But, so, see all profiles. Yeah, let's see. Okay, no, yeah, that's the only one. Well, that's fucked up. Ain't that a bad bitch? Oh
So
well. I'll just use my phone.
you got like a stand for it or something?
Oh, it's got like a kickstand on it. Like the back to cover.
Right.
But no, that's the only stand that I have for it. I used to have another one, but I don't know where it went.
Yeah.
Yeah, shit gets lost when you move.
I hear you. Well, we're gonna start.
All right, let's do it.
Welcome to Biz to Business. We're hoping to get the biz change to business. We're gonna be talking a lot about cannabis and friendship and mental health.
Top three.
Top three.
You know it. All right.
Today we have myself, Vinny, uh, co-host to my counterpart, Brian Costin. He's my co-host to myself.
How you guys doing? All
Uh,
right. Where do you want to kick this off at?
well, I figured we'd kick it off just with what's your first memory of me, and then I'll give you my first memory of you.
Ooh, ooh. Let's see. The first memory. That. Yeah, huh? That's a hard question.
I'll give you
Let's see,
mine if you
because
want me
like
to jump.
I know we met each other when we were like four, but I don't remember that. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
it's like, when do I really remember? I think probably like the thing that jumps out at me most would probably be when like PlayStation came out
Mm,
and we started like gaming really hard. Remember we used to play like Gran Turismo, and then when GTA 3 came out, we even played GTA 2 and 1 and stuff. Remember from like the top view,
yeah.
it was like an awful game. And then 3 came out, and we just like spent every weekend in your rooms fucking playing that game.
It was a good game.
I, yeah, and I think that's like the first like real memory that like I actually remember. I mean, I
Yeah.
do remember we were sleigh riding one time, and I was on the snowboard and I fell and I got that thing here, and your
I
pop up was there, and he's like, "Ah, you'll be fine." I was all cut up. I do remember that. That might have been before GTA
That
3.
was definitely before GTA.
Yeah,
Yes, that was
yeah.
definitely before.
So I think that might be it.
There were now my first memory again, like you. I know we met one before. Don't remember that obviously. Like I can I can make up a memory of us being on the beach together, but that's not really my memory.
Right.
Um, but the first thing I remember was I don't know. We were 6, 7, or 8 probably. We were in my room and I was repeating what just happened, and you're like, I can't remember what you said, but like it was something like, dude, stop repeating. Like I was here for it. Whatever just happened. You don't have to repeat what just happened. And I was like, oh shit, okay. So that's my first
Yeah.
memory of you kind of telling me like, hey, shut the fuck up, because I was here with you, so you don't have to repeat what just happened. Um, so that's my first memory.
Wow, it makes me come off like a dickhead.
No, it was, but it's. I think that it shows good. Like, I mean, I think that you need people in your life that tell you like when you're not in line. So,
Yeah, yeah, I'd agree with that.
like I think to myself, I'm like, people that repeat a lot are like have like a level of autism, or like it's So I think that sometimes that conversation like kicked me off of something that could have been more neuro neuro neurodiverse. It's interesting. I don't
It is, and I'm the one who ends up with a neurological disease.
know.
Like, come on
Well,
now.
I mean, technically, I have one too. Like, I've been diagnosed with two now. So you're not alone.
I think everybody's kind of.
Me too. And, like when they say spectrum, I truly believe that we're all on that spectrum from low to extremely high, and yeah, it just depends.
Yeah, I totally agree with that because, like, when we were growing up, like, our parents never went to therapy. Like,
Yeah,
they didn't believe in, like, mental health. And now we know so much more.
yeah,
So I think that, like, coming to that conclusion, yeah, I came to this same exact thing. Like, yeah, I might be, I might be a little tismed out, but that's okay.
I like when people use that tism.
Yeah, it's you gotta.
Lean
It
into it a
just
little
sounds
bit.
better. It seems more PC.
Oh, I wonder. So, why are we friends? What, I feel like that was your question. Why we talked about even doing this podcast. So, why are we friends? It's a tough question to answer.
It is, and I mean, I know I said no boilerplate answers, but granted, I mean, we did meet each other and like become playmates when we were really young, and then we just kind of gelled. Like, like you were really big into Star Wars, and I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. Like I got into it, not as big,
Right.
but like we showed each other different things. Like I'm like, oh, I'm interested in John McAfee. Look him up. And you're like, oh yeah, well, go check this out over here. Like you'll tell me about a new video game on Switch or PS2, PS1, PS3, whatever like we have different interests, but I feel like that makes it stronger because we introduce each other to different things that we wouldn't have done by ourselves.
Definitely.
And I feel like that is, that's a good thing. Like,
As you were
for
talking about
us
that,
being
like
really,
I wouldn't have known about Kobe Bryant. Like I wouldn't have paid attention at all to basketball. Unless it wasn't for you. So yeah, no, I do agree with the puzzle pieces meshing together a little bit of what we did. Because I mean, I was in basketball, but I wasn't paying attention to it on TV. But I knew you were.
right, yeah, see, and like, I mean, I could talk to you about basketball and you would listen and, pick up a few things. You would talk to me about like Star Wars and I'd pick up things, and like the things that we feel like we're not really interested in. Like I would have never watched Star Wars if it wasn't for you liking it so much.
Right.
And I watched it and I was like, hey, like this is pretty good. Like I don't follow it as closely as you, but and then there's other things like Pokemon where you know, we were both on it.
I
So
that's another memory that I remember is playing and having our Game Boys linked together, trading and being at your house during that one week when our parents went to Jamaica, and then we had,
yeah,
we had to go on a different trip as well. It was one of my first memories of us being together.
yeah. I mean, video games is definitely a big link. I would say between us.
Yes. Yeah.
Like it definitely kept us engaged and just busy.
Yeah. Well, and then
you know,
the next question kind of leans into what we did after video games, a little bit.
oh, oh, probably
Uh,
drinking.
well, no, not drinking, but I think that we can talk about drinking on this subject because I think that there are two things that are truly extremely different. So, what are your thoughts on cannabis? I'll just ask the question, and I think that my thoughts on cannabis pretty well. I think it is a medicine. I believe in plant medicine, and I feel like alcohol is a poison. So, yeah, I think that both can be used as a stress relief, but I think that one's way more healthy than the other.
I agree with that 100%. I mean, cannabis helps me. Like I get tremors and stuff. My hands will shake, but take a couple hits of weed and it calms it down. It so I don't have an appetite all the time. I'll take an edible and a half hour later I'll go, oh, I'm hungry. You know, and I'll actually go and eat something. Whereas if I hadn't ingested any marijuana, whether it be a drink, you know, a joint,
You got you
edible,
got drinks going on there.
just yeah, I mean the drinks, whoo, they sneak up on you. Like I get the syrups that are like super concentrated, and ooh wee,
Ooh,
those things,
I
man.
gotta try me some of that.
But yeah, I mean I agree. I'm all about plant medicine. I mean, like they say in the Bible. I know this isn't a religious thing, but God put every plant on this earth for us. Like so why would marijuana be any different than
Cucumber.
a crop like corn or something?
I agree.
You know what I mean? And even going into like the hemp part of it, hemp's like they make it illegal, but really we should be building houses with the shit. It's better, it lasts longer, it's more fireproof. Like it's just a better way to
You,
construct houses and stuff.
you bring up a good
And
point. Like why are the lumber prices so heavy now in comparison to before the hemp bill? Because really, with hemp being, that should be like the number one crop, I would think, just because of its versatility.
yeah, I was just gonna say the same word. But yeah, exactly. Like the government's got to wake up and realize, like, hey, you know, this might be good for people in our country, but they don't really
I
care
think
about
I
it.
think we're closer than we've ever been. But I think that's like every 2 years people will say that we're closer than we've ever been, and then be like, I think this, they'll make a prediction. I won't make a prediction. It'll date us too. Uh, so yeah, I think though that there's definitely my thoughts on cannabis align well with your thoughts on cannabis, and that kind of talks about when did we first smoke together. I don't. I I think it was in a car. That's usually where most smoking was done in the north.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I honestly think it was that one night when this is like when Bobby and like everyone started smoking, and I had already gotten arrested and been on parole and got off parole or probation, and um, we were drinking one night, and I never picked up the weed again because I was like, 17, 18, whatever by this point. And one night we were at your house, we were drinking, partying, whatever, and I was pretty wasted, and Bobby was like, "Oh, come on, sit it, sit it, sit it," and I was like, "Okay, yeah, yeah," and like I took like one or two hits, and that was not good because you're supposed to smoke before you drink. Otherwise, you're gonna like end up in the bushes somewhere because you're drunk and then you smoke, and it just makes it that much worse. I feel like,
Right.
but that might have been the first time. But like the first time where I was sober and then smoked with you, oh man, it had to have been in a car. Like it was probably.
Or in your house, maybe in the basement.
Oh, that could be. Yeah.
Or at
Like it.
Nodo's. It could have been at Nodo's.
Oh, it could have been at his water forest place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that might be. Yeah, I'm
Uh,
surprised I can remember the first time we smoked together.
yeah, I don't feel like we put much emphasis on it. Um, because and then as you said that story, I forgot that you had stopped smoking for a while. Uh, yeah, because it's illegal. You know, oh, I
Yeah,
mean, like, and yeah, just want to avoid that issue, which makes sense.
yeah, and at that time I wasn't diagnosed yet, so it was like, what's the point of me smoking weed? I
Yeah,
started smoking after my dad died to kind of deal with that, which I know is not the proper way of dealing with things, but that's what I did.
yeah,
Like it is what it is. I made a mistake, but then I kind of got real heavy into it where it was just bad. It was like 16 blunts a day, you know, like me and John driving around and just
I
selling weed. You know.
I definitely partook in those days.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
I
I
know,
remember.
yeah, uh, being the shotgun in that ride was a lot of fun. I got to admit, but it was also not the healthiest lifestyle.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Definitely not. But I mean, now I'm at a place where, I've been down here for months now and I still haven't ran out of weed. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, I had probably 2 ounces, but back in the day, that would have been gone, you know, a month's time
yeah.
tops.
I think there's a 2.5 ounce limit in Florida um, per 35 day. So I think about those people that like go through 2.5 ounces pretty quickly, and like I'm like, wow, how do they that you can get it up by your doctor and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just I don't know how they sustain using that much because like I can't like
Yeah.
I'll have a quarter and it'll last me a month and a half. It's
It's like there's not enough time in the day to smoke 2.5 ounces. You know what I mean?
right.
Like,
They're
unless
you
you're
they're
rolling like ounce blunts,
yeah. Oof.
and those, I hate the big blunts because you get like halfway to three-quarters of the way done with it, and it just tastes like resin, because it all just builds up because there's so much of it, and it just builds up at the mouthpiece of the blunt, and it
Right.
just tastes horrible. Like, once you get like past halfway, it's just the taste is gone. It tastes like shit.
Well, yeah. Luckily, I've never had one. I think like the biggest one I had was like maybe an eighth.
I think we did a seven. I think was it a 7 or 14? We did a 7 or 14 gram blunt in Colorado, which was nothing because I had my med card, I could get an ounce of shake for $35.
Oh wow,
Yeah, and I could buy up to 2 ounces a day.
that's pretty good.
So, I would go in and it was cheaper, so I would, people would be like, "Oh, can you get me an ounce?" And I'd be like, "Yeah," and I would just like add 10, $15 to the price. I'm like, I'm not doing it for free, so give me a little money and I'll get you whatever you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
Because it
I
was
think
a
this is a
workout
good.
for them, and then I'd still get a free, gram or two of dabs.
I think it's a good spark to segue into what are your thoughts on corporations and cannabis?
I think that it should be handed. I think that the people should get the licenses before these big companies. You know, like my guy in Long Island, like he should get a license before Truly or someone else because he's been doing it forever. He grows it, like he
Yeah,
follows all the rules, and I just it's putting a lot of people out of work, like even farmers and everybody because they're just buying up a bunch of land and growing it themselves.
yeah,
It's just they have a huge advantage over the mom and pop shops.
definitely. Yeah,
And,
just because they.
I just feel like it should be even, like give half to big companies and half to little guys. Something like that. Don't give it all to the big guys because they're going to get the monopoly, they're going to have low prices, and once they move in enough and knock the little guys out, then the prices go up, so it's like it's right out of the playbook for anything, you corner the
Sure.
market, raise the prices.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No.
And
Yeah.
and
Truly's the
people
biggest one,
come,
obviously, or maybe not
yeah, and
obviously.
if you get like a regular guy like you or me, like we're not gonna be taking those liberties.
Yeah, we're not able to compete ultimately. Like in a market like Florida, vertically integrated market, it's impossible for you to be a mom and pop shop. It's just that's how the regulation is. So I think that there's stuff on the legislative, legislative side that can also like help in these situations to make things a little bit more good for the smaller guy to be able to, and also like in Florida, there's a lot of work to be done about having. I should be able to have a small crop outside, like some of the other states that are legal have for medical patients. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
See,
I think there's too much cornering of the market in Florida specifically, but I'll digress.
yeah, no, I mean it's true though. You know, I mean Colorado was there were there were shops that were really nice and they're like super expensive, and then like you would go to one like Golden Meds, and that was like they would be playing rap music, and it was just they'd have good deals, they had good bud, it was cheap, like they get it,
Yeah,
but so you can like in Colorado if you're like, oh, I got some money, you know I want to go balls out, you go to one of the nicer shops,
yeah,
and yeah, the flowers a little better, whatever, but looks better, but looks aren't everything, and
I'm sure they were having higher
percentages
test than
still are.
terps and higher test than THC potentially. That they use as their price gauge usually.
Right. And you don't even know if those percents are accurate because there's labs that'll be like, all right, give me 500, let's just say $500, and what percentage you want it to be at? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I
oh, I
know
want it to
the
be
lab stuff in the
28
West.
and 32.
Yeah, I know the lab stuff in the West is definitely a questionability.
Yeah,
Uh, and yeah, I think that there's certain questionabilities in any lab, and I think that's why there should be third party auditors as well.
yeah, 100%. I agree with that. And not people that are linked like to the government, just people that, like there's gotta like start something. Somebody has to like start something to help to hold these bigger cannabis businesses accountable and, really, really get in there and figure out, are they telling me the truth? Are they, like, okay, you say this is 31%, I'm going to buy a gram and I'm going to bring it to a lab that I know is good.
Yeah,
Like there's
like
got
bring
to
it to
be
your own
some
lab.
type of infrastructure set up for they could call out these, fake numbers that they're putting in.
Yeah, and I think that it's not even. I think that that's an easy way to sell it from a marketer's perspective, but I think that a lot of us know now that there's the any one number is just that, a number, because like the terpenes play a role in it, and I think that
Yeah,
there's you know just chasing THC numbers. I think that there's a lot of wrong, not wrong, but just not the right way of thinking about the whole plant.
yeah, because there's a lot of people out there that they don't do their research. They just see a high THC percentage. And just this must be great,
Yep,
you know. And if you go
I
to
saw.
certain dispensaries, certain people will tell you like, listen, like, they'll explain to you about the terpenes, and other places are just like, yeah, whatever, like if that's what you want, here you go. Like
Yeah,
they don't care to tell you, they don't care to educate you.
yeah. I think it depends on even just the individual at that point. How much do they know, and how much are they willing to share of their knowledge, and
Yeah,
if they're confident with themselves and their knowledge as well.
right. Yeah, definitely. Which, I mean, I think all bud tenders should have to, go to a class, pass a test, like anything.
Yeah, I think so too. And like you're still gonna find your people that are only in it for themselves and maybe not going to push the extra mile to explain stuff or to pay attention during those you know hour long courses or whatever they are.
Yeah, and like, what if somebody comes in and is like, hey, I want something with myrcene and lime and whatever,
Yeah,
and the person doesn't know, like the bud tender doesn't know just because they never knew and they were never taught. So they're like, hold on, you gotta find somebody, or they just have to, I don't know, Google it, like,
yep,
I want to know that they went through something that taught them correctly the information so they could pass the information on to the consumer.
I agree. Yeah, I find it. I'm gonna find it interesting to see what this other company, what their training's like, because my previous company had a pretty robust training, and I just question if this is a smaller organization that I'll be working for. Also, no affiliation with any organizations currently, but I want to see like what it looks like there compared to what I got into 5 years ago, which was pretty decently built, and it had about the same amount of shops that this one does now. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, no, that'll be very interesting to see how, see the differences.
Yeah, and I think this is a good spot to wrap this one. Thanks for anyone who joins and listens to this, and appreciate your patience with us as we start streaming or podcasting or whatever we're doing.
First one in the books. Stay tuned. They'll get better and better.